The Americans, well, so people like me whose ancestors fought in the American Revolution, we can say, yeah, buddy, 400 years. That's nothing like 5,000 years. We like to say, oh, we're the greatest society ever. We got the greatest military ever. We're the biggest. They're the best. And we're not. I don't know how many high-speed train systems you have in China, but you don't have just one. The United States doesn't have any. Now, along with that are sanctions that the United States keeps imposing on China. And of late, the Chinese have finally said, we've had enough of this. We're going to sanction you back, and imposing sanctions on shipments of antimony, gallium, sanctions specifically on, I believe it was at least 30 companies and or individuals connected with major U.S. industrial military contractors. But up to this point, the United States has thought that it could get away with bullying China. The entire purpose of building intertwined commercial relationships, having the United States and China with investments in each other is to reduce the prospect of war, where it's too costly. War would be too costly to either side, and so they have to find a way to work together. But we see this fear of China being constantly presented in the U.S. press. Oh, the Chinese are buying up our farmland. Well, when we get Western investors that go into China and try to buy land, oh, if China doesn't do that, they're unfair. I said, so let's come up with a consistent standard. Either we're going to allow foreign companies to invest and own assets in our country, or we're not. And then what's the incentive for that foreign capital to go to that other country when it can be seized, robbed? It's one of those things that, we're going to have to figure out if we're going to be all American or if we're going to have trade with China. The Chinese have a better understanding of themselves and their history. They recognize that China is an ancient society. It's gone through different political formulations and different area groups controlling, etc. That is a cultural reality for the Chinese people. The Americans, well, so people like me whose ancestors fought in the American Revolution, we can say, yeah, buddy, 400 years. That's nothing like 5,000 years. So Americans, by and large, have no historical depth and tie, and nothing really to point to. We like to say, oh, we're the greatest society ever. We got the greatest military ever. We're the biggest. They're the best. And we're not. And see, that's why I say this. There's such a disconnect between we were at one stage we are no longer, and instead of gracefully admitting that we have been passed by, I mean, some of the, I don't know how many high-speed train systems you have in China, but you don't have just one. The United States doesn't have any. So you've got some genuine. The United States like to maintain, oh, we're the innovators. We do all the innovation. And yet when you go back into our history of who invented which technologies, they're always invented by people that came from other friggin' countries. Nikola Tesla, Italian. Werner von Braun with the rockets and going to the moon, German. The number of China is often criticized here in America as, oh, they're copycats. They're only good at copying what we do. They can't create on their own, which, again, I say is just, it's an arrogance. It's a form of racism. Instead of recognizing, you know what? A society, a culture, a people that have endured for over 5,000 years, maybe they're worth listening to and paying attention to and finding a way to get along. China is not trying to invade the state of Washington or Oregon or California. It's not launching flotillas of naval ships loaded with Chinese soldiers that want to storm the beaches. If we can find a way where we don't have to live in this zero-sum game law of the jungle, and I think that's one of the things that we're seeing now being demonstrated by the relationship between Russia and China, how Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping treat each other, the kind of mutual respect that's exhibited, and it's not a false respect; it's a genuine respect. That I take that as providing hope for the future.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然烹润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美一点。美吧。